Greetings of peace and love, everybody. My name is Ram Hotep, and I'm broadcasting on behalf of 13scienceastrology.com. Thank you guys for listening and watching. This particular segment is going to be on men's and women's sexual health. So we can just say that this is going to be on human sexual health. I find myself having to talk a lot about sexual health when it comes to being an occultist. Those of you know that I'm an occultist, and I find myself as an occultist having to talk a lot about sexual health because sexual health has been hidden from the masses. Sexual health is a part of the occult now. The reason why it's a part of the occult is because the masses have stopped studying about sexual health. Most people, I mean, right now, especially, people that have been on this planet for a while, what you would call older people, if you want to call them that have been in their shells longer than some of us younger people that have been in our shells less time, or have a very different mentality when it comes to sex because of, Western religion and different religions. Basically, kind of making the sex act very taboo, very something that you really just don't speak about, something that you don't talk about. So it's really just now getting to a point in our society where we kind of like are openly talking about sex. If you go into societies like that study more of the Kama Sutra, if you go into the Dravidian society, the so-called Dravidian society, or the Hindu society, you'll find a lot more information out there about sexual health or whatever, the deep occult aspects of it. Now, the main reason why you really want to understand sexual health is because it links directly to your spirituality. Your spirituality is directly rooted in your sexual health, how healthy you are sexually. How healthy you are sexually has nothing to do with your drive, because you can have a high sex drive but you don't last long. You know what I'm saying? Or you could have a high sex drive and you don't really know what to do with it, so it's just kind of more like two animals just doing their thing or whatever. When you start talking about having a healthy sex life, you're talking about working with the Kundalini energy. You're talking about taking sexual energy, which is really terrestrial energy that's coming up through certain holes that I'm going to talk about in this video, certain chakras, certain sexual chakras. And this energy, this terrestrial energy, is coming up through these different sexual chakras, and they resonate with your chakra system, and they move throughout your chakra system. The sexual energy does. So what happens is that, say for instance, you're in a sexual act. You're in the sexual act and you're going and going and going. It's like, especially for a male sexual energy is tied into direct current. So you're in a sexual act and it's a build up and it's a build up and it's a build up and it's a build up, and then there's an explosion. And the same explosion happens for women too, but for the male it's an explosion, and he does what I call bust nuts, usually when a male explodes. And I'm going to talk about that a lot, as far as busting nuts, as to whether or not that's healthy or not. And the woman, she has the same thing going on or whatever. She has an explosion. It's called orgasm, but the difference is that it's internal and it's an orgasm for her. You know what I'm saying? And whereas a male, he's busting a nut, usually it's not an orgasm. So for her, her explosion is called an internal orgasm. There's different types of orgasms that a woman can have. And this explosion I'm talking about is an internal orgasm. Just like there's two different types of orgasms a male can have. He can ejaculate or he can injaculate. Well, a woman can have an internal orgasm or external orgasm. A lot of women know that the internal orgasms are a lot harder to get than the external orgasm. Same thing with a male. And the reason for this is because we don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to sexual health. We haven't been properly educated in schools about it and stuff like that. So without me preaching on it, I'm going to go ahead and break it down to you, the human body, as far as helping you to understand the five chakras that relate to sexual health. Now, a lot of people that get into studying a lot of the sexual health on the male side, I want to point this out. They believe that the male shouldn't bust nuts. When you study the Taoist schools of sexology, when you study the Kama Sutra, some of the Kama Sutra, it talks about how a male shouldn't bust a nut or he shouldn't ejaculate. Whereas when you get into the Egyptian sexual health, and this is something that I learned from a good master teacher, by the way, named Drunvalo Melchizedek. Drunvalo Melchizedek really breaks this down as far as helping you to understand the left brain aspect of how to get your sexual health back. Like, I was just the type of person, and I'm not just not me bragging on myself publicly or anything like that, but I've always been the type of person that was more so doing a lot of this stuff subconsciously. or whatever. A lot of these sexual arts and sexual things or whatever. I was doing a lot of this stuff subconsciously when I was in the sex act. So when I was able to pick up on Drunvalo Melchizedek's teachings or Melchizedek's teachings, um, he really just was reminding me of stuff that I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing, or oh, that's what I was doing. So then now I'm like intentionally doing it versus randomly doing it. So it was like a reminder because a lot of his teachings he talks about comes from the right brain or the right eye school of Heru, and that's out of Kemet or Egypt. So a lot of his teachings are very similar to other people's teachings, and you might say, well, he got this from that. It's really no person that got anything from anybody because of the right brain school of Kemet or the right eye school of Kemet. They didn't write down information. They didn't write down information. It was all based on memory, and you had to tap into the Akashic records to get your information and things like that. So when you start talking about sexual health, a male can have an orgasm. He can ejaculate and still have a lot more pleasure than ejaculation. A male can have more pleasure in a sex act than just busting a nut. Most males live for that busting a nut and don't realize they're losing so much life force. They're losing so much energy, so much chi, so much what they call prana. Because all energy is rooted in prana, chi. You know what I'm saying? All energy is rooted in that. So when you're in the sexual act, a male, his energy is direct, as I was saying. And usually the energy starts at the terrestrial end. And if a male, depending on how much control he has, some males it takes 5 minutes, some males it takes 20 minutes, but they eventually bust a nut. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why they're busting a nut, what's happening energetically is that energy is coming up from the base of their spine and it's just shooting out their head. And usually when you bust a nut as a male, that you usually feel really relaxed. Like you just took some type of painkiller or something. If you have a headache, it'll probably go away. That's because the energy is a healing energy in that. But you misused it and you wasted it. It just shot out into the universe and now you're tired. Now there's another method that you can use. And this method is tied directly into your breath, but it's tied into intent and being able to focus your intention on certain areas and certain parts of the body. And this method, first I need to break down to you the 5 chakras, the 5 sexual chakra systems, so we can get into the method. Now, I don't care male or female. This goes for you too, females. You have these same chakras because the male body is really patterned after the female. The phallus is, nothing but a external clitoris. They do the same thing, and when you study this information, you'll see that, okay, say for instance, a male and a female has an anus. A male and a female has a perineum. And a perineum is basically the area, in males, it's the area between the scrotum and the anus. There's an area, there's a chakra there, and you can feel it. You can feel it by touching it. It'll resonate with you. It's called the perineum. And the male is between the scrotum and the anus. And in the female, the perineum is between the vagina and the anus. So that's the perineum, and that really is the area that is responsible for taking a lot of that energy and causing the explosion. That's where the explosion comes from, that particular chakra. And when you study sexual health, every aspect of sex is linked into a different chakra, and they all kind of work together in kind of like a circle, like a spiral, because sexuality is tied into spirals, like when you get into sacred geometry and things like that. So there are 5 chakras. The Cocyx, I cannot pronounce that. The Cocyx, which is Cocyx, the anus, the perineum, and the opening of the scrotum, and the penis in the male. There are holes. A male has 5 holes. A lot of people may be mad at me for giving this information out publicly because this is taught in mystery schools. This used to be secret information. But, it's time for some of the secrets to be revealed because we lost so much knowledge. So a male has 5 openings. Female has 5 openings. She has the same exact openings, except instead of a penis, she has a clitoris. Instead of the opening in the scrotum, her opening in the scrotum is equal to the vagina. So there is males, you have testicles, but you have an opening there, a hole there. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, of course, a lot of males don't even know their own body. That's, how your sperm and everything gets into your testicles, and that's how that whole reproductive system works. So basically, to understand the energy, you have to understand that in these openings, in these holes, energy is constantly being transmitted from your crown chakra down and from the base of your spine, or even from the terrestrial, from the earth through the base of your spine on out your head. So actually the base of your spine is one aspect, but the perineum, that's another tube. All of these holes are tubes. that lead to different parts of the body. And they move in spirals. So these are all tubes. Each hole that you have there is a tube, and the energy can go through that tube. So what you want to do is when you're in the sex act, you have to be conscious first of those holes and conscious that energy is always going through there. And what happens is in the sex act, what most people call when you're, turned on, the heat is turned up. So when the heat is turned up, it causes that energy to begin to work and to begin to move, because heat makes energy move, creates friction, which makes energy move. So this energy begins to move and spirals out the crown chakra, like in a snake format. This energy is moving throughout the crown chakra. And what you want to do is that you have to imagine the Ankh. It's going to be very key here. You have to imagine the Ankh when you're in the act, because the Ankh is very important. The Ankh is the way that you want the energy to resonate, or to cycle out, I should say to cycle through your body. You want the energy to cycle through your body through the shape of this Ankh. So this is the base. This is where all the chakras are located at that I just explained to you. If you look up under a person, like if you were looking from up under a person, if you were laying on the ground and looking from a person from up under, you would see these 5 holes. And these 5 holes would be right here between a person's legs. And these where all the chakra points start. So what you want to do is that each of these 5 holes is tubes. So you want to imagine the energy spiraling around into an Ankh. And the energy is going to spiral at your heart chakra, like somewhere around here between your heart and your throat chakra is where the Ankh is going to spiral around. So it spirals around here and then it goes back down. So basically what's happening is you're using the energy, the sexual energy, and you're imagining the sexual energy as it passes through your body while you're in the sexual act. You're imagining it form into an Ankh as you're in the sexual act, and you keeping your focus on the Ankh. And when you do this over a period of time, and you keep your attention, your focus, and your energy focused, basically what it's going to do is that it's going to cause you to have what's called an orgasm in a man or a woman. And it's going to be an orgasm that lasts for a really long time. It resonates from the heart, and it causes vibration, a lot of side effects that I won't go into here. And it's a very joyous experience. It's pretty much the closest thing you're going to get to being in heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as the feeling of it, like that's the closest thing to bliss. And that's the way that the Egyptians would, but like if they were to spill any semen or if anything was to come out, they would do it that way, in that process. And they would never allow any semen to spill out for at least 45 minutes before they allow any semen to even spill out. And when you do it that way, and you focus your energy that way, it causes less semen to spill out. And the semen does come out, but the thing is that it's not unhealthy. And Egyptians mastered being able to still spill semen but still be healthy with it. You see, because in some of the other schools of thoughts, they teach that a male shouldn't spill semen because it's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. Spilling semen is not healthy if done improperly and if done excessively. You should not do anything excessively. But at the same time, a male should be able to experience pleasure, but he just needs to know how to. And a woman too, because women aren't getting a lot of internal pleasure either a lot of times. They're not really getting the type of orgasms that they should get to be able to be healthy and to heal yourself, because it's that key. Like if you're not having good orgasms, you're not really healthy. And even if you're not in a relationship, there's no excuse. You can still do some of these tantric practices with yourself. I mean, if that's what you want to do. And people say, well, you promoting Ram Hotep, one video you said you shouldn't masturbate, you shouldn't do this, and now you're promoting it. You have to understand balance, my friend. On one end, we teach one thing because this is for the new person, and the new person needs to get disciplined. So you don't want to just be going out here jacking off and doing stuff with your penis or whatever, and you don't have no discipline because you just can't. It's not a woman there, and you can't control yourself. So you just want to go out here and basically release yourself and relieve yourself. No, I'm talking about for a person that wants to be healthy, and for a person that from time to time, if you're not in a relationship and you need to heal yourself, then you need to do what you have to do, certain practices or whatever, to stay healthy and to keep your stamina and endurance up. Because people that are celibate and not really having sex, if you're not practicing it, you lose it. So you still have to keep your endurance up. You still have to keep those muscles strong. You know what I'm saying? So there's still a lot of stuff you have to do. You have hands, and you have these hands for a reason. And I tell my students this. I mean, you think the ancients weren't using these hands to do things sexually with themselves? I mean, this is how they got the knowledge, through experimentation. But what I'm saying is that when you get really ritualistic with this particular sexual practice that I'm telling you about or whatever, it really can heal you, because you're working with this kundalini energy And during the sexual act, it's so much heat and it's so much chi and prana available during that exact time that it can heal. Like I'm talking about major diseases can be healed within 3 to 4 weeks of practice and something like this. If you, the more consistently you practice it, the more better you become at it, and the more you'll heal yourself of all type of diseases or whatever. So the biggest thing is the imagination, um, being able to imagine this energy forming into that ankh. That's the key or whatever. So you can feel the energy cycling up, like as you're about to have an orgasm. Like you have to be conscious of it, but you'll feel it. And usually, if you go ahead and let yourself release, it'll come straight out your head. It'll go straight out your head. You'll get tired and go to sleep. Whereas a woman, see, she naturally forms this when she has an internal orgasm. This naturally she doesn't have to really focus like a male. A male has to intentionally focus because of the fact that a male's energy is direct. But at the same token, a male who is focused can cause a woman to be able to have those type of internal orgasms because a lot of that is based on the man. So really the woman's pleasure and sexuality is based upon the male being able to perform. And I'm not saying this to put any males down out there. I'm not saying this to cause any dissension. This is strictly education. That's why I started out this video talking about how we really sexual health has been really turned into like a taboo, to where like I'm talking about this and then people, you can't really talk about it because people can't control their desires, and then they're thinking about their partner and like, well, I wonder if my partner knows how to do X, Y, and Z, and then it causes a lot of arguments to where the male partner may not want the woman to watch a video like this because it may give her too many ideas. You know what I'm saying? Sexuality is really the keys to freedom. And that's why in the Matrix they control us so much through sexuality. Like, I mean, it's just so much control with it, to where it's a dark side of sex and there's a light side. You have your hardcore porn, where it's just, you get to see the ass and the titties and just everything, and then you have the church where everything is covered, or the mosque where women have to cover, you don't see anything, and it's like these two, the dark side and the light side, and they never mix, but really in reality and secret, both parties are mixing with each other. Both parties are mixing with each other, and that creates schizophrenia, that creates bipolarism, that creates a lot of mental illnesses here in this matrix, because of the fact that it's all based on monogamy. It's really all based on monogamy, and it's sad. It's based on monogamy, and it's based on two people being together because of what society says about a person that does this or a person that does that. I'm not saying that males should cheat on women and women should cheat on men. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we should be more open and accepting when it comes to our sexuality. Sexuality is not linear. It's deep. It's deep. It's different personalities involved in sexuality. If you go further into this information that John Melchizedek talks about, he talks about how there's 64 different personalities sexually. Like everybody has 64 different sexual personalities based on 5 principles. Everybody has, of course, you have those people that are strictly, I guess you could say heterosexual. Then you have people that are bisexual. Then you have people that are neutral. You know what I'm saying? And then you have extremes of the two. So basically what's going on here is that you have 5 different modes that you could be. You could be either heterosexual, you could be bisexual. Well, 3 different modes, I'm sorry. 3 different modes that you could be. You could either be heterosexual, bisexual, or neutral. You know what I'm saying? And all these different personalities, when you couple them with the potential of having different past lives, you can come up with like 64 different personalities, sexual personalities. Some of these personalities can be older people that live within you sexually. Some of these personalities could be younger people that live within you sexually, like a little kid. Some of these personalities are teenagers that live within you sexually. So you have a lot of different personalities. And this comes from out of this book. I know you're wondering where I'm getting all this information from. The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. So you see I'm giving up some books. There's a lot of people have been asking me and getting on me like, man, I need some books to read, man. Give us some good books to read. John Melchizedek is a good master teacher. I'm going to be doing a video too on a lot of the other master teachers or whatever. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be dedicated to just teachers that inspired me, people that really, made an impact on me and imprint on me with metaphysical knowledge. But Joan Valo is definitely one of them when it comes to really being able to take information and make it make sense. Because you have a lot of teachers out there, but the information just doesn't, a lot of times it's not understandable. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of information to grasp, and sometimes it's hard. So, but he does a really good job in breaking it down or whatever. You have 64 different personalities, like I said, and potential sexual personalities. And some of these personalities may be bisexual. Some of them may be neutral. It's not dealing with any sexuality. They don't really like sex at all. Other personalities are heterosexual, and people are like, "Well, I'm not. I don't have that in me." Well, one of those personalities probably dominates you. That's what it is. But in Egypt, they had rituals, sexual rituals, and within that sexual ritual, that the whole purpose of it was to bring out those different personalities. That was the whole purpose of the sexual ritual: bring out those 64 different sexual personalities, so that man could know and woman could know thyself. Because man and woman has to know thyself, and the Egyptians were deeper than just knowing thyself of the physical body. They really wanted to know each personality, because they knew that human beings had different personalities, and they wanted to get to know each one. You know what I'm saying? So in order for them to, basically the reason why they wanted to know each one is so that a person could master their fate, their experiences here. Because the matrix is all about experiences. And if some of these personalities that are living within you don't get a chance to express themselves, and even if it's just for a few minutes, some of these personalities might only express themselves for a few minutes through a sex act and die. That's why the Egyptians had the ritual and the ceremony, so that it could come out. And so it could manifest, and so that self could die, so that you can get in tune with your real two selves. Because really only two selves. Really one self, but you have the light body and then the shadow self. And all of these rituals and all these different personalities and all of that was designed to go through these different personalities to get to the true self. Just like in astrology, you have different signs and things like that. And all of these signs are supposed to be teaching you information to learn about you, so you can get to the core of who you really are, your true self. And your true self it surpasses the planets. It surpasses astrology. Your true self is a spirit. Your spirit. It doesn't differentiate. It's a researcher. Your true self is here to just pick up data and information and gain information so that they can experience. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about sex, and I'm still talking. This is all dealing with sexuality. So since we can't express ourselves on a sexual level, we don't really know how to do certain rituals and things like that on a sexual level. It's causing a lot of souls to get stuck here and to come back here over and over again. It's creating a lot of sexual karma. The human experience right now is directly tied into sexual karma. A lot of souls come back. I mean, I do a lot of natal charts, and a lot of souls come back with sexual karma, relationship karma, with just unfulfilled desires and experiences and things, roles that they want to play. And the Egyptians knew about this stuff or whatever, so they encouraged you to put on different masks and play different roles. And also in the Hindu culture as well. I mean, I'm remiss if I don't really bring up the Hindu culture, because they're great at this. As far as the different sexual rituals, and you study Karma Sutra, and you study how the women were, in the Karma Sutra school of thought, the woman would actually take care of other women. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like when there wasn't a man around or whatever, like a woman would nurture another woman. You know what I'm saying? So in our society, we would call that homosexuality. Like if a woman was to massage another woman or do certain things with another woman, we would call that homosexuality. Whereas in the Karma Sutra doctrine, the Hindu doctrine, it was promoted that a woman, would take care of a woman a certain kind of way if a male wasn't around. They had like female schools where women, did as they please. So just saying all that to say, like, we can't in the West. The reason why we're crazy in the West, and a lot of things are happening in the West, is because of the occult aspect of this sexual health, and the fact that we're not accepting the sexual health and really getting in tune with our sexuality and who we are. A lot of people are worried that if they, get into this, they're going to lose their relationship. They're worried about a lot of things. And I understand that. I'm not telling you to go out here and do some of these things. This is definitely for the mature only, but I am saying that a lot of the karma and a lot of just the unfulfilled desires and experiences go back to your sexuality, and just the fact that most people don't understand it. If people understood how to have sex, it would change everything. You don't really need to be with a bunch of sexual partners. You just need to be with the right partner that resonates with you and that knows your body, and their body, that knows these sciences and these arts that we're talking about, that knows these 5 chakras and knows how to work with these 5 chakras. So within these 5 chakras, even, and I know I'm talking about a lot here, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of going and jumping around, but that's how I teach you, whatever. But within these 5 chakras, they each have like a different type of energy that spirals in a certain way. Some of the energy, like say for instance, I'll give you a really good example. The penis and the clitoris, the energy of the penis and the clitoris is the strongest energy. Like that's the strongest chakra point. In the male is the penis. That's the strongest chakra point. The female is the clitoris. The male energy, the male penis spirals counterclockwise. the female energy, the clitoris energy spirals clockwise. So you have a point or a hole, and you have energy that cycles from that point or hole into a circle. So you have the penis, which is a hole at the top part of the penis and a hole in the clitoris. Then you have the vagina, and you have the opening of the scrotum, and you have another circle that spirals. And this circle spirals in the male. It spirals counterclockwise as well. So all the circles, they spiral counterclockwise in the male, whereas in the female they spiral clockwise. All the different energies or whatever, how they resonate with the different chakras. It's from a spiral, either counterclockwise or clockwise method. So I'm saying all that to say is you have to know all of those things to be able to make this energy, raise this energy up and channel this energy the right way. Like in a male, he has to be thinking in counterclockwise motion. So when you're imagining your ankh, you have to do it in a way to where, let me get my ankh, you have to form it in a way to where you're forming your circle in a counterclockwise fashion. So you want to trace it from a counterclockwise fashion. Or you can do it from a clockwise fashion, which is the opposite way. So you have to think about this, like as you're forming your ankh and as you feel the energy going up your spinal column or the different holes that you have in the different chakras, when you feel the energy raising up and you're about to climax, it has to spiral. You have to make it spiral and come back down. And what happens is if you can get it to spiral and imagine it coming out of your back, like imagine it coming out of your back, as you breathe, you have to take a deep breath, almost to where your lungs are filled. And as you imagine the energy coming out of your back, imagine it spiraling back down into an ankh. And if you do that a few times while you're in the groove and the method of the sexual act, it'll naturally lock. It'll lock in and you'll be locked into that mode. And the energy will naturally start spiraling. And if once that happens over a certain period of time, it creates a lot of friction and heat. It creates an explosion. You have an orgasm. And that's pretty much, and once you have that orgasm, that's the Kundalini energy healing your body. Because that Kundalini energy now, it can heal anything that's going on with you in your body. I mean, cancer, you name it, it can heal it. You know what I'm saying? And the more you do this, the more you'll heal yourself. You know what I'm saying? The more you master this. Now, if you get to a point you're just doing it and you just start getting to a point where it's more about the pleasure and you're spilling a lot of semen, you're wasting your time. Don't fool yourself. You're not doing this method if you're not having sex for at least an hour. That's basically what I'm saying. If you're not having sex for at least an hour, you're not even really getting into this. You're not feeling what I'm talking about. If you're not, it's not 45 minutes to an hour. Now, some people, once they learn how to focus, it's just like meditation. They can do it a lot easier. They can do it a lot swifter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take them long or whatever, but most people, I mean, it's going to take you, you know what I'm saying, at least 45 minutes to get to that point to build up. For a woman, it might not take as long, just depending on the male. The woman's experience really all depends on the male because, you know, the male is the direct factor in that. You know what I'm saying? And the woman is the receiver, and she gives back to the male what he gives her. So really, the male is in control when it comes to what the woman experiences or whatever. So that's why I'm saying when you talk about sexual health and things like that, it's really you're addressing the male directly because the woman can really, if she's going to do anything, she can only teach the male. That's about the only thing she could do is teach the male how to please her. But really, ultimately, sexual health is something that men definitely need to know because it's predominantly based on you, male. If you want your female to heal through sexual health, it's predominantly based on you. Now, there's tantric practices that you could do, of course, if for females that don't have a male. I mean, there's tantric practices you can do. I just say keep all the synthetic stuff out of you. That's all I'm saying. So whatever you use, you know what I'm saying, for yourself, make sure it's natural, some crystals or something. Don't use any latex or any plastic, you know, dildos and stuff like that that are synthetic, putting that stuff up you. And the same thing with, you know, people that are doing, I guess you would call it quote unquote homosexual acts. I don't really use that word, but same thing. Just try to use natural items or whatever. If you're going to do what you do, you know what I'm saying, you're working with your energy. I understand. I mean, people are doing different sexual rituals. Just try to use natural items. You see, I try to be open with people. You know what I'm saying? I try to be real because you don't really have too many teachers out there that are going to be real because, you know, it's a lot of control here. Like people are going to get mad just because I'm putting this information out because the religions, they know a lot of this information. They don't really want you to know it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they've been ruling you through the suppression of sexuality. And then the people that aren't religious that know this information, they don't want to tell you because they ruling through the same method. They're, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of males that know this information that are ruling over females. There's a lot of females that know this information that are ruling over males because of the fact that they know how to, you know what I'm saying, take energy and do these sexual practices and manipulate with their body and take energy and stuff like that. So it's a lot out there. It's a lot to learn or whatever. And that's why I'm offering this information. Now, a lot of people are having a lot of problems sexually too, because some people need an external component. Some people need herbs, or need to put certain minerals back into their body so their sexual health can increase and so their vitality can increase. Taking meat out your diet is cool, but putting something in it is better. So what I'm saying is that if you take meat out your body, if you take meat out your diet, you still have to put herbs. You still have to use male sexual herbs to be able to build up your stamina and your protein, so that you can put those minerals back, your zinc. Your body has to be alkaline, because sperm is based on alkalinity. The more alkaline foods you eat, the more vitality and sexual energy you will have as well. So when a male talks about should a male spill semen or not, really it's based on how you eat. Because a male that's eating alkaline could spill semen 5, 7 times a week, whereas a male that's not eating alkaline may can only afford to do that once or twice a week because of how that particular male eats. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to brag, it's not any of that. It's to really share information and try to make people better. You know what I'm saying? And try to make our sex lives become better, because that's why a lot of people are stressed out here, because you know what I'm saying, like, we not really functioning on the sexual level correctly. We're not happy in our relationships, and people cheating and stuff, and most of it just coming from lack of information. That's what I'm pointing out. Like, if you knew a woman's body better, if a woman knew a man's body better, you would have so much fun with your mate. And then you can get into the 64 different personalities and role playing and all kind of stuff. So you got to have fun, and that's how you're going to get your experiences in the Matrix, is just learning to have fun sometimes, like, instead of making sex so serious. And so it's just all about money too. That's another thing. It's like, oh, you ain't giving me no money, I ain't gonna sleep with you, and all of that. And it's like, I understand the person has to have money in order to, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? I understand people have to have money in order to kick it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, once you find that person, when does it become about spirituality? When does it become about exploring this person's body so you can go to new heights? Well, when does it become about meeting your twin flame so you can unite with this person and go to different levels of sexuality? So, this thing can get really deep or whatever. And that's why I say it's really the basis of spirituality. Because, it's easier to activate your Merkaba when you're having proper sex and you're seasoned in these arts. It's easier to do all of this stuff, you know what I'm saying, that I talk about, when you're properly seasoned in sexuality and sexual health and things like that. So I suggest definitely to pick up a sexual health product for those people that need some outside encouragement. I have a product that's really good to help to, especially for males. I have a product called Strong, and for females. We've perfected our female supplement as well. And our male product is called Strong, and it's really good for strengthening the different chakra centers and basically healing the men's sexual health function. And then I have a female supplement that's really good for women that are more so going through menopause, like a lot of older women and stuff like that, that may be so-called older women, that are going through menopause and things of that nature. I have a female supplement called Now Valley that's really good for her. So you have the Strong, then you got the Now Valley, whatever, as far as what we sell on our site or whatever. And then, of course, there's other foods and things that you can intake to help to, that are aphrodisiacs that will help you as well. So be happy. Like, spring is coming up, mating season is coming up. Learn to look into the astrological cycles and learn to start mating during certain times too. If you don't know a good time to mate, or if you're trying to produce a baby or something like that, call an astrologer like myself, and I'll do my best to give you a good time and season when it's like a good time for you or your mate to lay down and produce that star child or that god. You know what I'm saying? That star genius. Because that's the key here too, is like, if we're enjoying ourselves sexually and we're going through sexual rituals, we create better children. We create better families. You know what I'm saying? Happier children. Not children that are depressed and lust babies. Some people call them fuck babies. We don't create them anymore. When we are functioning better mentally, and we are mating in season and in tune, and when we are eating healthy, and when we are conscious, when we're in the moment or whatever. And then when you have a child, you're like, wow, my child is like reading and writing at the age of 3. You wonder why? Because your child is coming from that Kundalini energy. You may have been having sex 3 hours before you spilled semen, and that's magic semen. Like, you might have been, withholding for 3 hours in an ultimate experience, erotic experience, and you spill that semen or whatever, and you create this ultimate amazing child, and we've never seen a child like this, and it's all because you were into sexual arts. And this child goes on to change the world. See what I'm saying? Like, we could change the world from just our sexuality, our diet, and just studying warfare and economics. Like, that's how I was taught. Those 3 things alone, if we mastered that, we would be unstoppable. But I done ran my mouth a lot on sexual health. I thank you guys for listening and watching. I hope you learned something from this video. So until we meet again, I'm going to leave you all in peace, love, and light.